Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Good night, my angel, time to close your eyes and save these questions for another day. I think I know what you've been asking me. I think you know what I've been trying to say. I promised I would never leave you, and you should always know, wherever you may go, no matter where you are, I never will be far away.
Good night, my angel, now it's time to sleep. And still so many things I wanna say. Remember all the songs you sang for me when we went sailing on an emerald bay. And like a boat out on the ocean, I'm rocking you to sleep. The water's dark and deep inside this ancient heart. You'll always be a part of me.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Good night, my angel. Now it's time to dream, and dream how wonderful your life will be.
Someday your child may cry, and if you sing this lullaby, then in your heart there will always be a part of me.
Someday we'll all be gone, but lullabies go on and on. They never die. That's how you and I will be.
Lullaby, Howard Stern broadcasting from West Palm Beach. The week that was, viewer email, and we take a journey on the River of Dreams. It is the Festival of Friendship, better known as Nothing Worthwhile, live via Zoom. It is America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews. It's very popular to be Jewish these days, certainly. On the West Coast,
God. Here we go already.
Evan Moody. Well, hey, on the East Coast, live from the Sunshine State of Florida, Andrew Gruthius. Groo, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm good. You call it the Sunshine State. I really haven't seen the sun in about 4 weeks, so even I'm sure it's out there. I just don't really go outside.
I love how you try to portray you're stuck in your apartment. Every time I speak to you, like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time for the podcast.
I mean, they announced that it's safe to go out now, and when I was getting happy, being alone and miserable. But
how's the weather out? How's the weather out?
It's beautiful, actually. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's like it hasn't been too hot. I know it will start to get really hot, but I'll be leaving for the summer pretty soon for up north, God willing. But yeah, the weather's been really, really nice here.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We
same
it's a
thing,
short one
same
today.
Thing here in Phoenix. Same thing. Weather is really, really nice. Last night, it was like 10:30. We were getting ready to go to bed, and we have like Braxton, aka Puppy Shango.
Puppy Shango.
On the floor.
Did you give him that name, or did my brother give him that name?
I gave him that.
You
name.
gave him that
Puppy
name. All right.
Yeah, I want to say he was on something on the network of WWE. They recently Godfather, but I can't watch it now because my app is not updating. I got to speak to Marie. I clicked on and it needs to update. And I got to get. I guess it's through the what's that? Fire Stick TV. But
there should be a thing. There should be a thing that just Google Google it on YouTube and say there's a YouTube video for everything.
Good idea. Good idea.
How do I wipe my ass? How do I wipe my ass in diarrhea? There's a YouTube video about that. I've looked at it many times.
Well,
many YouTube videos about that.
Anywho, so last night I go to move his bed. Braxton has a bed, and I feel like a sting in my hand, and he had a couple of bones, and there was ants all over his bed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we flipped out. Everything
AKA
got thrown
fleas?
out. Like, no. It's just he has these bones. I told Marie, let's throw him out, but no, he loves his horn, and he loves and.
You know what? I got to stop you because I listen. I try to listen to Howard Stern all week, and all I hear is cats. Now I'm listening to you talk about dogs. I mean, come on.
All right, well, that's a great transition. It's not on our formal notes. I have no notes about it, but Andy did text me an article earlier in the week. Howard Stern, the King of New York, apparently broadcasting his show from West Palm Beach, Florida. Great transition, Andrew Gruthius. Thoughts on Stern broadcasting from the Sunshine State?
It's a whole bunch of bullshit. It's so, I mean... I don't, it's very difficult to comprehend, like, how this guy who we've loved and been with all these years can justify the kind of money that he's making with the kind of schedule that he has. And, I can work from wherever I want. It's just, I don't know. It's like if it's one thing after another with him, and I guess the issue for me is not what he's doing and how he's doing it, but that he won't talk about it. That he won't come on and say, yeah, I'm a jerk off now or something. Be self-effacing like he used to be. Now it's just like he's pretending that he's in studio. He's pretending that everything is normal. He's pretending that there's no issues with the show, that the show is the greatest thing in the world. It's as good as it's ever been. It's kind of like Bruce Springsteen saying, the E Street Band is as good as it's ever been. No, it's not. We're missing two of our major players, so it's not as good. It'll never be that again. So it's kind of the same thing in my mind. I know I'll get a lot of heat for that one. But I think most of us are too smart to know that that the jig is up. Am I allowed to say that?
All right, so I'll respond to some of the things you said. I think the Bruce analogy is not a great one because even though some of the players are gone, the core of the music, the philosophy of the music, I don't believe has ever changed. Now, to your point about Howard, a couple of things bother me about this as well. Number one, he's always been on record saying he felt the show should be in studio. People need to view each other. people need to, view each other's reactions, have that live sort of interplay. Number two, didn't he chide Shuley just a couple of months ago for moving to Alabama, and
yes,
that he was not connected from the Northeast? And I think the other thing that bothers me is I think he's been on record saying the guy's got to go back to the offices, run the show, and yet I suppose, he is the boss, but I guess King Tut gets to broadcast from his mansion in West Palm Beach, which, by the way, he frames as a house, and his apartment in New York City, which is 2 floors, apparently, that he bought out 2 floors of a building and created one massive spread. That's his apartment.
Yeah.
So he trying to portray himself sort of still connected to the working class, which I would respect if he just
talked about it. Yes, that's what I was going to say. There's no doubt in my mind that he's earned this lifestyle. He's had hundreds of millions of followers over the years. He's got a 40-year career. He's changed everything. He's definitely earned to live the kind of life that he wants to live. But don't bullshit us. Like I said to you over the phone the other day, I said the audience has been with him through thick and thin. Okay, change after change after change. We have been there. Without us, there is no him. And so I would think he used to, or maybe he never really did respect his audience. But if he did, he put on his good game face for many years. To me, his biggest problem is that he's not, in my mind, he's not respecting his audience. He built a career on telling the truth and being completely transparent. He made a fucking movie about it. Okay, now he's anything but transparent. And even though we all know the truth, and that to me makes it so difficult to listen to. If he would just own it, I think we could get past the nonsense. But if you're going to continue to play a part, then I don't know. It's getting to the point where I almost wish people would start canceling their subscriptions to show that the fans are not really into this. But look.
All right, let me respond to a couple of things you said. I don't wish Howard ill will in the sense of people canceling, but what I will say is this, and I said this to you on the phone yesterday. This new incarnation, so to speak, and my level of and the level of hypocrisy, what it's done to me is it shades the old classic stuff, and I find myself when I listen to the older clips, I'm looking for slips in the crack, and I agree with you. I question whether or not he always really respected the audience. I feel like he got to a certain level, and then maybe this always was his true self. I don't know. I don't want to bog us down with a full
or maybe it's who he wanted. Maybe it's who he wanted to be all along.
We have more coming, But I can't disagree with you. I'm not going to go ahead and say Howard disrespects his audience, but it does give me pause when I hear you make a comment like that.
I didn't say he definitely disrespects. I said it doesn't seem like he does.
I'm not saying I agree, but I don't. I think there's some validity to that statement. Sure.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to be. Well, no, I'm not going to. No teasers, no trailers, no spoilers.
Well, I don't know. This sounds like an overall depressing podcast. We're going to get into Billy Joel's final pop album. But
oh my God, are we going down the rabbit hole today?
Yeah, but before we get to our last podcast, WrestleMania 9, Andrew, it is 5 things that we are talking about this week. It's nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
Nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
The week that was brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out their medical weight loss programs, Andrew, at www.newyoulifecenters.com.
I've given up on that. I'm sorry.
NewYouLifeCenters.com. Or give them a call at area code 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Marie, Logan, Dr. Cynthia, a big thank you to New Life Center. And Andrew, let's go to our first item. I need a hero. I'm holding on for a hero. end of the night. And he's gotta be strong, and he's gotta
be fast, and he's gotta be
fresh from the fight.
I need a hero. Jim Steinman.
Groo, are you still hungry? Groo, are you still hungry for heroes? Marvel has a meal of a lineup for you. In a trailer that dropped last Monday, Andrew, Disney and Marvel Studios unveiled its schedule for the next 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe films called Phase 4 between now and 2023, featuring, let's go to it. This in the 3-minute trailer emphasized the importance of going back to the in-person movie-going experience. The clip ends with the message, "See you at the movies." Andrew, here is the schedule real quick for Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Black Widow, July 9th, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, September 3rd, 2021. The Eternals, November 5th, 2021. Spider-Man, No Way Home, December 17th, 2021. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, March 25th, 2022. Thor, Love and Thunder, May 6th, 2022. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, July 8th, 2022. The Marvels, November 11th, 2022. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, February 17th, 2023. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, May 5th, 2023. So I will throw it to my partner in crime, Andrew Gruthius. Groo, excited thoughts on Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, first of all, when you were singing that song, I thought you were going in a completely different direction. I thought you were going to be talking about Jim Steinman and the passing of Jim Steinman.
Well, we did last time.
We did, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you're right. But I'm so far behind in Marvel. I'm like thoroughly confused at this point. Like I have no clue what's going on. So I think I'm ready to give up. But there's a reason for it because I'm kind of, even though I have not been impressed with the movies that have come out on the DC side, I think they've pretty much botched everything. The way that DC seems to be headed, I'm more interested in for a couple reasons. Number one, Michael Keaton's return to the role of Batman, which has always been my favorite of the Batmans.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, you want to see a 60-year-old guy with a gut?
Well, no, I think they're kind of bringing him more as an older Bruce Wayne kind of. You know, I think they'll do it right. Just wait. I agree with you, but the idea of it is exciting to me and something to look forward to. And two, a TV show that I'm watching now that I stumbled upon by accident is on the CW. It's part of the DC Arrowverse, which I've never seen other than this show, and it's called Superman and Lois, which is basically Superman and Lois are married with two twin sons, and they move back to Smallville after Mrs. Kent's death. And it's really, really good. I mean, I think it's excellent, and it's better than anything I've seen from Marvel over the last few years.
So to our listeners, Andrew just did a great transition, what we call in public speaking a transition. So he took a topic, Marvel, which he doesn't really, probably, I won't say he won't care to speak of it, but then he transitions to DC, which seems
I said that I can't be excited about it because I'm 90% of what you just said are things I've never heard of. The only thing that was familiar to me was Thor, which I've always liked. I've always liked the Thor movies, and Black Panther. But everything else, the excitables, what did you say? I like the Marvels. Like they have Marvels, the Avengers, Age of Ultron, and now they're doing the Marvels. I mean, and you know, like
okay,
like,
all right. So
it's too much. I think it's too
much. I don't know a ton of it either, but I'm sure Marvel is banking on, because not every movie viewer is a hardcore comic fan. Neither am I, although once in my younger days I was a big time comic kid. But you're hoping that, people are excited for under the banner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I'll say for me, I've enjoyed the Thor movies, but the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness very much intrigues me. I love the first Doctor Strange movie. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yay! I enjoyed that first one. I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And I like James Gunn, and if he's going back to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn, of course, directed the Suicide Squad, a DC product trailer, a movie, the sequel featuring John Cena, of course.
Yeah.
So as Peacemaker. So I like what James Gunn has done with the Guardians movie. So here's my last question before I'd like to move on. Are you a fan of this shared universe? Maybe not Marvel, but this new hot thing in movies is sort of this shared universe where these movies sort of interconnect in sort of one universe.
Not really. And the reason is because, and actually it's sort of the DC side that made me not like it. Because a world where Batman is fighting Superman doesn't make any sense. And when you have all of these superheroes with all these incredible powers, there's nothing exciting about it, or there's nothing like, excuse the pun, marvelous anymore. It's like commonplace.
I see what you did there.
It's commonplace. Like they don't seem to be taking it in any. Oh, here's another superhero. So by all definition, we have like 30 superheroes now banding together, and they can't fight off one bad guy. I mean, like it's too much. Like, look, I've said it before. The best superhero movies to me are of course the old ones. I know. But they were extraordinary people in an ordinary world. If you watch these Marvel movies, if you watch
extraordinary people in an ordinary world, that sounds vaguely familiar. Like I've heard you mention that.
Yeah, I have, and because
because we're conversating. So let me dig in here a little bit. You don't think DC pivoted? I think that they saw that the shared universe wasn't going to work, and I think they pivoted towards standalone movies. Which I agree, the new DC products have been mixed, but some of them, I mean, Shazam was pretty good, Aquaman was pretty good, or at least they were. Was
Aquaman? DC, Aquaman was DC. Yeah. See, I'm getting confused.
So I think they went away from the shared universe because the Justice League bombed so terribly, and
I couldn't sit through it.
Perhaps they couldn't compete with that cinematic universe like Marvel, so let's go to standalone films. Anyway.
But that's kind of what I like about this TV show, because it does take place in the most ordinary of. It takes place right next door. Like that's what it's Superman and in real life, and that's what I like about it, and that's what's missing from all these. You know, it's basically like human beings have. I don't know. It's just it's so diluted.
Clark and Lois, Lois and Clark.
It's just called Superman and Lois. That's the name of the show. There have been 6 episodes so far.
What streaming service may our listeners and movies find this?
It was on HBO Max, the first 5 episodes. Then they went on hiatus. They just started up again, but HBO Max has taken it off because it's a CW channel product. So they can watch it on the CW. And the CW does have a streaming service that I think is free. I got it for free. So, and you can watch the current episodes there. It's just
I have Hulu, which has CW, so I could probably watch it through that. But if not, I'll.
Yeah, and it's not as like physically like bombastic like all these things which audiences seem to flock to today. It's more cerebral and it's more grounded, and it's definitely a family drama combined with the excitement of the superhero genre. And that's what I love about it. It reminds me of the movies that I used to like, that I liked from yesteryear. So I recommend it.
Good job, Andy. We went with Marvel and we ended up with a CW television show.
Do you think I have a question for you? I have a question for you.
We're gonna discuss Billy Joel, River of Dreams, and we'll finish up with Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 3.
I have a question for you. Do you think at some point one of these studios will buy out the other, like Marvel buying out DC? If DC continues to tank at the movie theaters?
Well, I don't know if DC is going to continue to tank. Wonder Woman 1984 did have terrible reviews, and it was, in my mind, horrifically bad. But I think they got that big money deal from HBO Max, so I don't think they're hurting for money. True. Look, anything's on the table. I would give you a mild perhaps. I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere down the line if Marvel, quote unquote, dominates. But even Marvel has put out mixed. And some stinkers here and there. So
Marvel. I'm too far behind to be excited right now. So.
All right, Andrew. Let's move on. Perhaps, Andrew, Pinocchio did have a secret. In a study that will no doubt inspire a spike in nose jobs, Japanese researchers discovered that men with large sniffers tend to have large penises as well. The study is the first to demonstrate the relationship between stretched penile length and nose size, wrote researchers from the Kyoto Prefectural University of Medicine. To determine the connection, scientists examined the bodies of 126 recently deceased middle-aged men, measuring everything from the cadaver's height and weight to the circumference and length of their flaccid members. This study was published in the Basic and Clinical Andrology. Scientists approximated the measurements of subjects' manhood when erect by laying each stiff down and extending their willy up as high as it would go. Then they compared the results to the length of their noses. They found that men grew with 2.2-inch snouts, packed larger penises that clocked in at 5.3 inches long. Meanwhile, corpses with beaks smaller than 1.8 inches packed manhoods measuring up to 4.1 inches long. Previous studies, Groo, have linked penis size to everything from salary to the size discrepancy between their index and ring fingers. Groo, the floor is yours. Any comments on the direct correlation between a dude's nose and his member's size?
Well, I think our frenemy Howard Stern would argue with that. Does that mean that people with smaller noses have smaller ones? Because I've been trying to figure this shit out for my whole life.
According to this Japanese study, yes.
All right, well, I guess there might be some validity there. Wait, what? Did I say? Are we on the air? No, we haven't started recording yet, so that's good. But yeah, that's look. For every study that says one thing, there's another study that says another. You are who you are. You have what you have, and it is what it is.
Andy, it's what we call in the business a lightweight blind item. It's a funny, I'll say for myself, certainly this study does not apply.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
When I first met Marie, she thought she was in a lesbian-gay relationship. She was like, "Oh wait, you're male?
Oh, there you are. Oh, well,
there you are.
Yeah, she called me that first night and said, "What? She was like, "What's going on with this guy?
Is he transgender? I don't know what's happening here.
Is he Caitlin Moody now?"
Let's move on, Groo. That's what friends are for.
Oh, boy.
An emotional Matthew Perry was comforted by Friends co-star Jennifer Aniston in a new trailer for the highly anticipated HBO Max reunion. Perry, who played Chandler Bing on the iconic NBC series, is seen reminiscing on set and admitted, "I'm going to cry now," with Aniston putting her hand on his shoulder. One of Perry's recent appearances promoting the show sparked concern Wednesday from fans. The 51-year-old actor appeared to slur his words in a clip posted Wednesday to People magazine's website. In the concerning clip, Perry was talking about taking pieces from the set as souvenirs. "I stole the cookie jar that has a clock on it," Perry said. One fan replied to the clip, "It pains me to see Matthew Perry like this. He just seems off, gazing at the void, speaking slowly." Matthew Perry has long been open about his struggles with addiction. Groo, the Friends reunion, which was taped in April, is set to premiere on HBO Max next week. In addition to Perry and Aniston, 52 years old, who played Rachel Green in the sitcom, series veterans David Schwimmer, Courtney Cox, Matthew LeBlanc.
Does she have a big nose?
Are all returning. Additionally, David Beckham, Justin Bieber, and Reese Witherspoon are slated to guest star. Please listen. With James Corden's involvement, James Corden is hosting the show. Apparently, Groo, that has drawn ire from fans. Adding James Corden to the Friends reunion to the list of things he's ruined with his mere presence, one fan tweeted. Another user added, Don't get me wrong. I've been wanting a Friends reunion since 2004, but if someone told me James Corden would be in it, I'd have told them not to bother. Well, we could all agree or perhaps disagree to that. Groo, thoughts on the Friends reunion? Excited for the Friends reunion? And thoughts, if you'd like to share, on a struggling, perhaps, Matthew Perry? The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I'll go backwards. I was never a Friends guy. I don't have them. I don't want them. I like being alone, so this is not a show I ever watched. I know that it's good. It's just not something I ever got into. I don't get what James Corden has to do with this. The same way I didn't get what connection Jimmy Kimmel had to All in the Family. Why he was hosting those live shows that they did, which were excellent, I thought, but I didn't know his place in there. So I don't understand all these cameos. Why can't they just focus on the cast? And then to go to your first part, and my brother will attest to this, I actually have been familiar with Matthew Perry longer than most, because I remember his very first TV show and his first acting job, which was a short-lived Fox sitcom called Second Chance, which me and my brothers and I were, I believe, the only three fans of, and we still actually watch it sometimes today. It was a premise. The show was about a guy who died in the future and got sent back because he wasn't good enough for heaven or bad enough for hell, and he gets sent back to live with his old self at 17, and that was played by Matthew Perry. And I can tell you, watching this guy through the years and then seeing that thing on the HBO thing, he's on something. He's fucked up. So my question is, why would they, after filming that, why would they put that on there? Are they? No. Why would they put that on there? If you're in marketing or if you're in HBO Max, you're saying one of two things. All right, this guy's fucked up. Do we do it to garner attention, or do we protect him and not put this on, or at least cut that part out? Obviously we know the decision they made. So
okay, so I mean if this was Jennifer Aniston, perhaps, because she's, I guess, considered a major star. But Matthew Perry, I don't think is considered a major star anymore, and it's certainly an interesting angle. Hold on, let me take the floor here. You mentioned a couple of things. I think it's an interesting angle. Your thoughts on Friends? I agree. I was never a big Friends guy. I was a very superficial, casual viewer. I watched it from time to time. I felt like it was a show about everybody I grew up with, and similar to Andrew, I'm kind of a loner, and I had no interest in seeing a bunch of upper middle class kids, bandy about in the streets of New York. Just wasn't interesting to me. I kind of lived that little bit of that life, so never interested me. The HBO Max reunion itself, I'll probably watch it because the Fresh Prince was well done, yes. and I was, I would say I was I was not a casual viewer of the Fresh Prince. I was not a hardcore viewer. I watched it consistently, inconsistent throughout its time on television. I'll probably watch the HBO Max Friends reunion because the Fresh Prince one was done so well, and I'll be curious to see that. James Corden, I agree. I'm not a James Corden fan. It's no fault of his own that he was tagged for this this job, so to speak, but I think he doesn't really add much to the deal. And
do you think it's like he's saying yes to everything Ricky Gervais says no to?
I don't know about that. I don't even know if it needs a host. No. Perhaps they could have just had everybody on there and sort of have a director and producer kind of angle the conversations. So it's not his fault, but I don't think he brings anything to the deal. I think that the criticism was Friends is an NBC show, so why not have an NBC like a Jimmy Fallon, perhaps? Again, I'm not saying he would be any better, but like an NBC guy, Corden's a CBS guy. I really could care less who's who.
I think actually... all right, go ahead.
Wrap up, I'll wrap up, and I'll send it to you for final thoughts. Interested to see the HBO Max Friends reunion. Never was a big Friends fan, and I wish Matthew Perry well, and I hope he's okay.
Yeah, just to respond to, once these shows are in syndication, the original and are off the original network, it's the production companies that own the shows. So I don't, because
Good point.
Like if you go on Peacock, you'll see they've got the entire Everybody Loves Raymond series. That was a CBS show. So that's the network has nothing to do with it.
Good point.
But my question is,
and your smarmy Hollywood knowledge.
My question is, why these? I did read that each cast member is getting paid a nice chunk of change for this. To what essentially is there's 6 of them sitting down and talking and having an interview. Why not make them work for their money? Do like one little reunion episode. Let them be in character. Let them do something fun. Do I really need to see them going? Oh, remember that episode where we took this cookie jar and moved it from here to there? What is the point of these things? Like, make them do something. Earn their money. For God's sake.
Let me respond, please. This is a conversation. Thank you. To my lovely partner. I actually have no interest in seeing a theatrical, something on wax on television. I find this to be more interesting, and it looks like HBO Max is sort of angling itself to be the reunion streaming service of famous pop culture shows from the 90s, perhaps 80s, 90s, early 2000s, which is not a bad sort of thing to have your streaming service be known for. I'd rather see this than a new episode. I don't know.
I wouldn't. I'm not interested in either of them. I was just asking, why do they pay them so much money to do what is essentially an hour-long Entertainment Tonight segment?
Are you going to watch the HBO Max Friends reunion?
Probably not.
Okay, well then you're not interested. I probably will, because I have no life, and I'll probably want.
I'll probably read about it, and if it seems like it's got things that I might be interested in, then I might. But if it's just going to be them sitting down and waxing nostalgic, I don't care, because I can't be nostalgic about things that I'm not familiar with. So,
all right, fair enough. Let's move on, Andrew. Speaking of streaming service, massive Netflix release this week, Andrew.
I thought you were to talk about my bathroom. Nothing.
A massive streaming. Netflix release. I want to talk about any kind of movements right now. The floor is.
No.
Speaking
of streaming, there's a new medication. We'll get to that next week.
I'll move on. Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead came out Friday, May 21st, starring WWE Hall of Famer Drax the Destroyer Dave Bautista. Early reviews were mixed, with the New York Post giving Army of the Dead 2 out of 4 stars, saying it's another long, serious Zack Snyder film. Polygon.com was a bit more effusive with his praise, stating Netflix Army of the Dead is a gleeful slab of Zack Snyder excess, saying it's a heist film, it's a war movie, and a zombie apocalypse movie, all aimed directly at Snyder's fan base. The New York Times was mixed, stating Army of the Dead is thieving Las Vegas. Zack Snyder's Zombies in Vegas extravaganza is an exhausting pivot from brilliant to boring, accomplished to shambolic. Groo, will you watch Army of the Dead on Netflix? Excited for Army of the Dead on Netflix? Another Zack Snyder jaunt? Andrew, thoughts on this streaming release?
Are you telling me that that's why they did the zombie match on WrestleMania Backlash? Was it cross promotion? Well, fuck them all. For God's sake. No, I'm not watching.
Apparently, the WWE got paid for that promo spot. Supposedly 7 figures. So I won't kill him for that, because I'd probably take the opportunity to make money too. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but it for wrestling fans, boy.
They hated it.
I don't want to get into a WrestleMania Backlash review, but I enjoyed WrestleMania Backlash for the most part. But that part was a real effing stinker.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be interested in the movie anyway, because I don't know. If I wanted to watch a zombie movie, I'd go back to the original classics, Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi ones, the good ones, not the ones that are going to be all Michael Bay'd up. Which Zack Snyder basically is these days, the Michael Bay 2.0. Not interested. Nope.
All right. I'll probably watch it because, again, I have no life. Are you excited for the May 28th in theater release for A Quiet Place 2?
There was A Quiet Place 1?
All right, let's.
No, I'm serious. What is it? What is it? I've never heard of it.
You've not the John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, the aliens that hunt by sound, and they had to have this, you know.
You know what? I remember seeing a trailer for it. Was it released in theaters, or was it because of the pandemic? Was it pushed somewhere? Because I remember seeing
a sequel, Quiet Place 2, was held in the can for over a year. It's supposed to go in theater on May 28th, like one of the big hopefully post-pandemic releases in theater May 28th.
Because I remember seeing the trailer for A Quiet Place now that you've jogged my memory, and I remember it looked really, really cool. I don't even remember it being released.
I think it's on Hulu, A Quiet Place.
No, but did it ever come out in theaters? I don't remember.
The first one did. Yeah. Your homework is to watch A Quiet Place and come back.
I will, because it did look interesting to me when I saw the trailer. I'd forgotten about that.
All right, Groo, let's do our final item. Quincy Jones refused to work with Elvis Presley because he felt that the king of rock and roll was racist. I was writing for Tommy Dorsey, back in the 50s, and Elvis came in and Tommy said, I don't want to play with him. He was a racist MFer. I'm going to shut up now, the music legend told The Hollywood Reporter for the THR Icon series. Meanwhile, Quincy Jones said he suffered through a racist experience with Truman Capote while producing the score for the movie adaptation of Capote's In Cold Blood. Capote called director Richard Brooks and said, Richard, I can't understand you using a Negro to write music to a film with no people of color in it, Jones alleged. Jones also told the trade about his experiences dealing with racism very early in his career. He said show business in the early part of his career in general was very, very racist. I remember I would be at Universal walking down the hall and guys would say, here comes a Schwarzer in Yiddish. And I know what that means. It's like the N-word. Jones has worked with everyone from Michael Jackson to Frank Sinatra, Celine Dion, and Aretha Franklin, just to name a few. Groo, he is one of 16 people to have achieved the quote-unquote Grand Slam of show business, or EGOT. That is an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. A very serious Andrew Guthius. Please comment on Quincy Jones.
Evidently, everybody was racist back then. I mean, literally. No, I don't say that as a joke. I mean, it seems like everything is coming out now that about this person, about that person, and I guess it's valid. I don't. At this stage in his life and career, I don't understand why Quincy Jones would feel it necessary to, piss on somebody who is not here to defend himself. But at the same time, there's no reason not to believe him. But it just seems like every day we're finding it's like every day we're finding out that the people we grew up idolizing, even though Elvis was before our time. Everybody we grew up idolizing is basically, a scumbag. It's kind of depressing.
Weren't there always rumors that Elvis was not a great guy and perhaps racist? I mean,
I never heard racist. I heard he was like a diva, but and like very quirky. He definitely, he was also a drug addict. We know that. But I'd never heard racist, but it wouldn't surprise me. But that was a very different time. Like think of things that were allowed back then that are not now. Certain songs or certain movies or TV shows. Like, could All in the Family be on TV today? Hell no. And things that were passed over back then as benign are looked at now as not so benign. So I think the culture has changed very much, and look, we've evolved. So if these things are true, then I guess they should be cautionary tales. So if it's true, then God bless Quincy Jones for coming forward with it. That's fine, and it's good for people to know that. I think. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yes, God Yeah, God bless Quincy.
Well, I mean, I don't mean it like that. I mean, good for him for, not being afraid to tell people what his experiences were. I don't have a problem with it.
I just like I was actually interested that he's a entertainment Grand Slam award winner, like the EGOT. I've never even heard of that, but he's won sort of.
Yeah, I've heard Mel Brooks has that too. There are a few like that, and that's it's an incredible feat. You get
Yeah, Andrew's on that list as well. Andrew Brooks he's an EGOT.
I'm an EGOT.
All right, Andrew. That is it for the week that was. Let's get to our next segment. You ready? You got it queued up?
I forgot what it is.
We talked about.
Oh yeah, I got it.
WrestleMania 9. It's time for viewer mail.
Letters, we got your letters. We got your letters every day. Mailman ding dong, give me a letter today.
Nothing Worthwhile viewer mail is sponsored by New Life Center. No goal is too big, no journey is too far. Groo, check out their hormone balancing programs for men or women at www.newlifecenters.com. That's NUYOU, lifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Courtesy of our Facebook fan page, you can check out Nothing Worthwhile on Facebook at www.facebook.com/nothingworthwhile1985. Let me just check my notes here, Andy, for viewer email.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we got nothing. Not one comment. Yeah, it's just dust and empty spaces.
So basically, the jingle was longer than the email.
Yes. Would you like to give any final summary, final thoughts on the WrestleMania 9 podcast?
Yeah, I listened back to it, and I think we were spot on. I think we had some very good points, because I did some of the things that you talked about. I went and looked at, and we were talking about that whole the whole ending, and I think I think it was very good. I really enjoyed talking about it, and if our viewers weren't interested in it, well, they can go fuck themselves. But
okay.
No offense to any of you out there in India, especially. God be with you right now. I know you're going through difficult times.
Yes.
I mean that. I actually mean that sincerely. I know it doesn't sound that.
I do. They keep our podcast relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, our numbers in India off the chart.
So maybe that's why. No, that's in bad taste. I was going to say maybe that's why they don't have time to respond.
Apparently, Jinder Mahal has returned, so I bet he's back on Raw, and it looks like they're giving him. I won't say a main event run, but he's back. He's got storylines and.
What isn't he? Don't they have him fighting Roman Reigns at Hell in the Cell or something now? He's back on TV. He's back on TV for one day, and he's already in the title picture.
No, they don't.
What movie is he promoting?
I'll ignore that. Today's Nothing Worthwhile podcast, Billy Joel, River of Dreams, is sponsored by New Life Center. The journey is everything, and we already gave you the website, and 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo has sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. River of Dreams.
Hey, I have a question. Has anybody actually gone in there and said, has Marie told you? Have people come in and said Moody and Groo sent us? No, or are we still waiting? Are we still waiting for customer number one?
It might be customer number one, but she gets a lot of. She does get a lot of hits on her website, and she's even had people from California that travel in to see her. Because the services are, I guess, exponentially that much cheaper.
So tell them to put a link to our show up there. What's going on? Come on, a little cross promotion here. Let's share a shared universe, with Nothing Worthwhile and New You Life Center. I love it. It's a natural. It's a cash cow. We can do it.
It's like peanut butter and chocolate.
Yes.
Two great sensations.
Yes.
Andrew, River of Dreams is the 12th studio album by Billy Joel, released on August 10th, 1993. Do you remember when the album was released? And,
I do.
Thoughts? I remember being super excited for River of Dreams.
Do you remember the cold and the night? No, that was one of the songs, I think, 2,000 years. But I remember you and I listened to this album for the first time together at Camp Wayne.
Yeah, I believe I got the album on a day off.
Yes, and you brought it back. I remember exactly where we were, and we were listening to it. And on first listen, we loved it. We loved everything. And as time has gone on, obviously feelings change. But I remember we were very excited, more excited for a tour, because it had been 4 years. We really hadn't. I had actually, the first time I'd seen Billy Joel since the Stormfront tour, he came out on stage at a Springsteen show at Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, and that was like, and then the buzz started that he was sort of coming back with a new album. It had changed names a couple of times, and then that summer, the summer of '93, was when it came out. We listened to it. And we really, we enjoyed listening to it, and we had our favorites, and we talked about it, and we were very excited. We were very excited for the forthcoming tour.
Was that Billy appearance at Springsteen? A couple of people came out. Was that Paul Simon as well?
No, that was no. It was Springsteen did it. It was on the Human Touch Lucky Town tour. Springsteen had done 2 nights at Nassau Coliseum. The first night I wasn't there. He brought out Steven Van Zandt to sing "Glory Days," and then the second night, Billy Joel he introduced to help sing and play on "Glory Days." So it wasn't part of anything bigger than that. It was just a guest appearance at the show.
Interesting. Okay, River of Dreams album cover was a painting by Joel's then wife Christy Brinkley in 1993. Groo, Rolling Stone gave her the Top Pick Award for Best Album Cover of the Year. Andrew, thoughts on the cover art for River of Dreams?
I mean, it's a cute cover, but I mean, what were the other? what were like?
Oh my God.
What was it up? What was it up against? Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, or what?
No, I don't know. I think it's actually really a really cool album.
It is. It is.
Billy never had sort of, Stranger Hat was sort of an iconic photo. You don't really typically think of Billy Joel with cover art for his albums, although maybe they're underrated. But I thought that River of Dreams was pretty cool artwork, a little bit different from Billy Joel.
Definitely different. Definitely. Definitely represented the album well, I think. And if you look at it on those terms, then I think it's an excellent, like you said, it was different, and this album was pretty different from anything he had done before. And it was, thematically, the album represented or the album cover represented. And think about, Christy Brinkley. She's not just a pretty face, folks. She can paint, or at least color with pastels or whatever she did, but it definitely is an intriguing cover. I don't know if it's worthy of cover of the year, but
okay. I like what Christy Brinkley did, but I'm so sick of celebrities with their paintings. I'm gonna just, if I hear another Howard Stern, Bob Dylan, I'm so sick of all you with your painting. All right, I got it off my ample bosom. Okay. Groo, in the summer of 1992, Billy Joel held a series of writing and recording sessions on Shelter Island, all the way out in the East End of New York. Those sessions eventually produced 7 tracks, all self-produced by Joel. But Billy Joel was dissatisfied with the results, and so on the recommendation of one Don Henley, he brought in session guitarist Danny Korchmar for another take on the songs. Korchmar eventually agreed to produce, providing he be allowed to use session musicians on the recordings, to which Billy Joel agreed. Only one song from the Shelter Island sessions, which one was it, Groo, that made it to the final album cut?
I think it was Shades of Grey.
You are correct for 5 points.
Nice. Hey, wherever I roam,
the more I find out,
the less that I know.
Sing the next part. There ain't no
something.
stranger, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
All right. Anyway. Well, we'll get specifically to Shelter Island sessions, Andrew, but do you want to take the floor and pontificate on Billy's decision to go with one Danny Korchmar?
Well, at the time, I remember us talking about it at the time. I mean, believe it or not, even in our late teens and early 20s, we looked deeper than just the albums and all that. So we talked about it, and I remember that we were he had gotten rid of Phil Ramone for Stormfront. He had went with Mick Jones, I think.
That's right.
So I don't think we at the time we put too much stock in it because we didn't realize. I didn't realize the role that a producer plays. We would learn that later on. So, look, we loved Billy Joel, and anything that representing change, we were sort of resistant to. But if you had told me that Billy Joel, actually, this I do know, we knew that he had been recording a new album, and we had heard that the title was the Shelter Island Sessions, and that it was going to be self-produced. And I remember we were excited by that. We were excited by that because as much as we liked Stormfront, I think we did think some of it was a little overproduced, and we were sort of looking forward to just like getting back to like Billy Joel and his piano, like that. So I think that's what we were looking forward to. And then with the release, the internet wasn't a thing back then, so we didn't know much about it until it actually came out. So I think we were surprised to see that it was not what we thought it was going to be.
Groo, I wasn't too concerned. Korchmar had a little bit of a name in the music industry. He had produced Henley. I think he had done some stuff with Bon Jovi or John Bon Jovi. So,
what did he produce from Henley? Do you know offhand?
I think he did End of the Innocents and.
Yeah. See, and if he did the End of the Innocents, you know what's interesting about that? There seems to be more piano on the End of the Innocents than there is on River of Dreams.
Yeah, you have to look that up. I think he perhaps did the two big Henley albums. I wasn't concerned. I'm sure we'll hit up our final thoughts somewhere down the podcast line of what Korchmar did. But initially, I wasn't concerned, and I was kind of happy. I know that you said people were resistant, but I, at the time, I think as a fan, was open to Billy working with other people. He had an amazing run with Phil, but I was just somewhat dissatisfied initially with The Bridge. Over time now, I'm 50 years old. There's some loving nostalgia to The Bridge. There's some pieces that I enjoy. But I think at the time I was ready for Billy to move ahead. And yes, I agree with you. I think even as a fan early on, Stormfront was clearly Billy's shot to be, stadium, arena rock guy. And I felt like I was looking forward to, yes, a more quieter, piano, introspective album than Stormfront. We'll talk about whether or not he achieved that. Andrew, let's set the stage for what was going on with the Piano Man at this time. By the time Billy had entered the studio for his 12th album, he, of course, had sold millions of records, toured the world, won Grammy Awards, had a wife, had a family. By all appearances, he seemed happy, fulfilled, and poised for another 2 decades of success. Behind the scenes, though, Billy Joel was struggling. He had a pair of high-profile lawsuits that found him attempting to obtain millions of dollars in judgments against his former lawyer and manager. But the overall crisis of faith caused by his troubles still cast a shadow over his songwriting. Those negative feelings bled into the set of songs whose protagonists found themselves grappling with and often losing to emotional turmoil, doubt, and depression. You mentioned this earlier on about Billy Joel's theme of River of Dreams, and of course this article that I clipped said, There's a serious, even pensive, noticeable dark streak running through the material that ended up on River of Dreams, particularly in the first 6 tracks, which Joel vents about suburban sprawl, no man's land, his personal betrayal, the Great Wall of China, to increasing ambiguity of middle-aged ambiguity. Oh, God, what the fuck is wrong with me? Of middle-aged shades of gray. Groo, we know that he was once known as the angry young man, but did this little nasty streak fit him? Or were you wondering what exactly happened to Mr. Christie Brinkley?
I love that. Actually, no, because I didn't see it that way.
Well, okay, did you not see it that way as a fan when you were 18, 15, 16 when you picked up River of Dreams? Because I didn't feel that way. Maybe now I noticed it, but I didn't feel that way as a fan.
I was 18 and I didn't see the darkness. No, I'm serious. Like I didn't see the darkness through but I wasn't as I wasn't the scholar that you see before you today.
No, but you were like me. You there was no internet, but you scavenged newspapers, magazines,
sure.
Talked to other fans for any little nugget of artists' information that you loved. I mean, you and I think I subscribed to a Billy Joel fan magazine back in the day. I mean, I wanted every little piece that I could get because I was a big time Joel fan.
Well, I think that we focused on the more upbeat songs in the beginning. I remember one of the first ones we really fell in love with was Lullaby. I remember us talking about how that was like his version of Brent Midland's I Will Take You Home, which we both loved. And we thought that was a true home run right there. River of Dreams, I think, was the first singles, and that was pretty upbeat and fun. But we didn't really. I don't think we really paid much attention to the lyrics at first. I think the melodies sort of jumped off. So they were fun melodies, all about soul. Had a fun melody. There were a couple of weird ones like Blonde Over Blue. Had a strange thing going on. I remember liking immediately A Minor Variation. It was only later on where I realized how dark and depressing those lyrics to those songs really were. So I didn't pick it up at first. I don't know if you did. I don't remember when we talked about it back then.
Well, I'm not going to get into every song because we're going to go through this track listing.
I just wanted to give you an example.
Of course, Andy just barrels ahead and goes.
No, I just wanted to give you an example.
What I will say is, when I put on the album and heard No Man's Land, those opening chords, I thought to myself, this is going to be a little different, and I liked it.
Me too.
I'll get into my overall track-by-track review in a little bit. Groo, Billy said that the song cycle for River was written and recorded pretty much in the order it's presented on the album. I thought that was interesting. Billy Joel told the New York Daily News. It begins with a crisis of faith, a search for justice. In the end, the guy realized there's no justice, only faith. So freaking heavy-handed, Billy. I mean, come on. You're a pop rock artist. I mean, please, you're not Midnight Oil. Okay?
He's not Maya Angelou Joel.
Right. There's no justice in the world. I mean, wham.
I have to wear a seatbelt when I'm riding my motorcycle. I could only go 90 miles an hour.
My brother-in-law stole $22 million from me. Wham.
Yeah, I have to walk so far to get to the bathroom from my living room. Like, wham. Come on.
Wham. We're such asshole fans. We love the icons we love.
We do.
Let's move to it. We know Billy's initial attempt at the recording of the River of Dreams, was dubbed the Shelter Island Sessions. Most hardcore Joel fans have scoured YouTube and the internet for the demos. Of course, Groo, it's the last time Billy recorded side by side with longtime drummer Liberty DeVito. There's not too much on the web specifically about these recordings, though I did find some Reddit threads and some music forum comments about the Shelter Island Sessions, which I will share with you at this time. I just listened to the playlist. Oh my God, all of these are amazing. As someone who mostly doesn't really enjoy River of Dreams, at least as not as much as the other albums. That just made me enjoy some that I honestly barely cared for. I never enjoyed No Man's Land so much, and so many others were so good. It just felt like a younger Billy. This is amazing. I love this so much. And another comment about the Shelter Island sessions, Andrew, I'd like to read for you from something called Dance Forums. This listener, not so much. It's a little bit longer. For the uninitiated, this was Billy's attempt at producing and tracking for having a breakdown and bringing in Danny Korchmar. Korchmar insisted on moving from what I believe was an old fishing or lobster shack out of Long Island to the Hit Factory and using different musicians to re-record the tracks from scratch. This weighed heavily on people like Liberty DeVito, who was considerably miffed, though I maintain Zachary Alford, the drummer that Billy used on the sessions, absolutely killed it on these tracks. I love River of Dreams. I think it stands along Billy's other albums nicely, even if it's not the Nylon Curtain. After listening to these original versions, it's apparent to me that Korchmar knew what he was doing. The Joel versions don't sound unreleasable, this is this guy's opinion, but mostly suffer from a lack of energy and somewhat overly clunky arrangements. I'm of the opinion that Korchmar streamlined a lot of the drum patterns, which seemed overly busy by comparison. Surprisingly, it feels like he didn't change a lot about the songs, save for some lyrics and a spare chord or a bass note. However, I feel that Korchmar brought up the pulse of the songs, polished them up, removed some of the gloom, and made it sound like a more commercial-sounding LP. I'm very interested in everyone's take on the original versions of the River of Dreams songs. The only thing I do wish that Billy retained was the lullaby cross-fading into River of Dreams. I also wish that River of Dreams ended the album. I don't mind the last two tracks, 2,000 Years and Famous Last Words, but I feel now, as I did then, that River of Dreams was a great last track feel as it wraps up everything nicely. The other two cuts feel like good bonus tracks. He finishes up by saying it's a shame that this album marked the beginning of wedges between Liberty and Billy. It's sobering to think that the last complete album together was Stormfront. Groo, I am sure you have a strong take, my friend, on the Shelter Island session, so the floor is yours. Where does Andrew Gruthius stand on the Billy Joel produced tracks for the Shelter Island sessions?
Well, first of all, it seemed, I guess they were doing another band swap because Zach Alford, who was originally the drummer for the B-52s, I believe, was
yes,
Springsteen's drummer on his Human Touch Lucky Town tour, which also, that band also had Crystal Taliaferro from Billy Joel's band. So I guess they're kind of playing musicians here. And Zach Alford is a very accomplished and excellent drummer. But like with Springsteen's music, I just don't think he brought the kind of musicality to Springsteen's songs. And I feel the same way about his work on River of Dreams. I just don't think it was a great fit, and the reason being is because I have heard the Shelter Island sessions, and I do believe that the Shelter Island sessions is a better album. The songs, I liked them. They do bring out the gloom, and I think the lyrics are gloomy, are dark, and the music should reflect that. I didn't need them to be funked up. I didn't need them to be, to try to mask, for commercial reasons. I understand why they would go with it. I don't think, but I disagree with the first Reddit thing that you read. I don't think the difference was monumental. All right, there's definitely a difference. Shelter Island, the quality of the songs, I believe, melodically are better, but there's not enough of a difference to. There wouldn't be enough of a difference to release that commercially, like some other artists have done, like they released their B-sides or whatever. Not enough. There's not enough of a difference. They're too similar.
All right. Let me comment, my friend, on some of your great points. I think, number one, is it the musicality that you didn't like about Zach Alford, or is it the rapport? Because I think Zach Alford, on par, is just as good a drummer as Liberty DeVito. I think Liberty DeVito is a fine drummer, but I would not put Liberty anywhere near. I think Zach Alford could drum with the best of them. Perhaps there's a rapport or familiarity there as a hardcore Springsteen and Joel fan that you miss by having the original drummer as part of the piece.
Yes, there is that, but I do, and no disrespect to Zach Alford. I just think that Liberty DeVito, just like he always did, he brought out something in Billy Joel that is tangibly missing from the music that Billy has done without him. So it has nothing to do with drumming skill. I think it has more to do with drumming style. And Zach Alford's fits in with that funk style. He's from the B-52s. He's done stuff like that. But that's why the transition, you don't want, I remember during the Springsteen shows, they were great, we had fun, but you did kind of miss Max Weinberg. He had he brought things to those songs that Zach Alford didn't. And I would say the same thing with Liberty DeVito. But I also say the same thing with Liberty DeVito and the drummer that Billy Joel uses now, because they're it's not, it's like I said, it's not drumming skill, it's drumming style. Do you know what I mean? Do you agree? Or do I sound like a snob again?
No, I was going to say your argument might be a little bit in the minutia, so to speak. I think it's probably more.
Was it nebulous?
No, more on the rapport. What I would say to your comment about the songs being excessively different, I agree to some level. No Man Lands is, I would say, is somewhat significantly different. River of Dreams, Lullaby, The Crossfade is somewhat significantly different and thematically different. Some of the other songs, it's hard to pick apart the change. I do think, I think Korchmar gave it more of a funky R&B feel, toned down the pianos a little bit, and made it probably a little bit more radio friendly. I, as a whole, enjoyed the Shelter Island sessions more, and I agree with you. Perhaps, some doom and gloom and some real emotion might have served Billy Joel well, who was basically, not maybe in our eyes, but in the mainstream, is looked as a pop rock artist, and maybe something with a little bit more oomph might have served him well.
Yeah, and like you said it, why would Korchmar think that taking the piano away from the Piano Man would be a good idea? I mean, that's what
I don't necessarily think.
Well, that's basically.
I don't. Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was intended. I just think how it was perhaps produced.
Elton John kind of did the same thing too, a couple of years earlier. So it was interesting how both of these guys were kind of moving away from that piano based rock that they had kind of invented in a way, in their own way.
What album are you referring to with Elton
From
John?
Elton John, like Sleeping with the Past was definitely very little piano on that. Even the one he was playing keyboards, not pianos, and you can tell the difference. But then that was short lived. Even though those albums are pretty good, those albums are pretty good.
The one is where I fell back in love with Elton John. I was a fan, then kind of fell off my radar for a bit, and then the one I was in college, probably a sophomore at the time, and I remember that was one. I bought the CD and listened to it in my dorm room quite a bit. So
but in coming off what you said, like you said the words, Korchmar is like scaling down the piano. Who would think that necessary? As far as a Billy Joel fan, now of course Billy Joel fans are not musicians or not music producers, I guess by trade, but that's what we love about I don't want to see Billy standing up playing all his songs on acoustic guitar for 3 hours. I mean that's not who he is. He plays the piano. He's a piano player. He said it on Howard Stern when Stuttering John came up to him and was asking him all those offensive questions. I'm a piano player.
I'm a piano player.
I'm a piano player.
How do you get a supermodel?
Yeah,
tell Howard I'm
a piano player.
Just a piano player.
Yeah, so that's so the whole, I guess the whole attitude going into this, the recutting of the album. Plus, I think, and what that message board said that you repeated, Billy's singing is more introspective on the Shelter Island songs, I think. They remind me, more of like the Innocent Man era, not Innocent Man, like the Nylon Curtain era, and I liked that about it. And that was kind of the music kind of got in the way of it on River of Dreams. Do you know what I mean? It seemed to me a little overproduced.
I agree with you there. I like the Shelter Island sessions, but I like River of Dreams. But yes, I think it's a tad bit overproduced. I don't kill it though. There's different.
Nothing. It's a good album. It is a good album. Okay, but we'll get to your overall review. But Andrew, right.
What exactly happened? What caused the fallout between Billy Joel and his longtime drummer Liberty DeVito? Liberty DeVito was on record saying he learned he was let go from Joel's band and didn't receive an invite to Billy's third wedding in 2004 to his wife, Katie Lee. I think he was probably 19 at the time, and he was 58.
That's hot.
I remember
that
just
is
being so
hot.
I was like, Billy is entering Rod Stewart territory.
Oh, we do the same damn thing, and you know it.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would.
I would. I'm going on record. I would.
All right, fine. Liberty Groo stuck with the famous Piano Man for decades after Joel dismissed many of his original bandmates in 1989, such as Russell Javers. Javers is on record saying that he found out indirectly he lost his job by hearing on radio that Billy Joel was coming out with a new album, with a new band. Javers recalled, "Nobody ever said a word to me after all those years. I didn't even get a phone call." DeVito explained that the major changes to the band in 1989 came when Billy Joel fired manager Frank Weber over a financial controversy.
I love how we keep bringing in Howard Stern things as we trash him.
Who gives a shit?
I know.
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit? When he kind of got screwed out of money, and then he got accountants and lawyers, and that's when it kind of started falling apart for us. DeVito's firing came years later, shocking the drummer at the time. He said he wrote Joel a detailed email after he was dismissed from the band, but never heard back.
Really?
There was some stuff I said in it when I found out that I was cut. I found out because I wasn't invited to the wedding, and that's when the whole snowball began to roll down the hill. And I realized I was out. So I wrote him a email, and I said, "Hey, we made musical history together. We went places where wives didn't go with us. So I said, look, Billy, if you ever want to do it again, I love you." DeVito still to this day remains puzzled by his dismissal. I called the tour manager to find out what happened. "Hey, why did I get cut?" And the tour manager said he didn't know why. He wasn't going to ask Billy Joel about it because he feared he might lose his gig with Billy. DeVito added, interestingly enough, everybody was afraid of the Piano Man. In 2010, Liberty DeVito sued Billy Joel Groo over royalties. The two settled out of court. Liberty DeVito said that he did hear from Joel's legal team over, of course, we've discussed informally on our podcast, the Hired Gun documentary. The drummer claimed Billy Joel's lawyers wanted a whole bunch of stuff edited out of the documentary. I think he was just bullying everybody after he read what was in Hired Gun. I told the truth of what really happened and what really went on, DeVito added. Somebody said to me, "You don't make Billy Joel look like an asshole. Billy Joel makes Billy Joel look like an asshole." In all fairness, the two have reconciled ever since. Before, Andrew, we go to your one-man staging play. Any comments? We've listened to the audio book, and we've talked about it before a little bit on various podcasts. Anything before we set you up? Any thoughts initially on the Liberty Billy Joel feud, firing, everything else?
I think it was a shame then, and it's a shame now. At this point, you don't even know who to believe, and you don't know. Obviously, other people were whispering in Billy's ear, just judging. But the producer said, "Let's ditch the band and bring in these session people." I guess it bothers me that Billy would accept that. But look, maybe he was taking his cue from guys like Sting and Springsteen, who had done pretty much the same thing in recent years and years before. Sting first did, going on his own outside the Police and influencing Springsteen to do the same thing without the E Street Band. And here comes Billy Joel. And I remember seeing an interview with Liberty DeVito not long after that, because he was still touring with them. at the time. But he said, I remember him saying, he's like, Billy, don't do a Springsteen, don't do a Sting. Come on, man. You know, we're supposed to be a team here. So I can see where, you know, I mean, you're working for this guy so long, and you're doing the same gig, and your salary's decreasing, your money's decreasing. That's not right. That's wrong. That's wrong on every level.
I cut some of that out, but what Andy's referring to is, I think Liberty, Billy's band moved away from royalties. Billy's band went on a strict salary where Billy had perhaps, salary plus, gate and percentages for each band member, and he went to like a strict salary, which Liberty, from his own words, begrudgingly accepted, was not happy about. Groo, one of the more... Well, let me ask you this question. Have we romanticized the Billy Joel band, meaning we understand that the E Street Band sequentially had much more of a longer run and perhaps even more culturally rich albums? Certainly, absolutely no doubt, Billy Joel and that core band had an amazing run. At the end of the day, are we as hardcore Billy fans, are we overplaying it, or does the Billy Joel band, did it deserve perhaps better?
Definitely deserve better from our perspective. The problem is, our perspective is the only one. We have the same perspective of Liberty and Javers and all those guys because Billy has never addressed it. He's never talked about it. Bruce did. He has addressed it. He said point blank, I'm doing this, I'm putting the band on hiatus. I want to see what other people will bring to what I'm doing. Like, it was understandable. It wasn't our, what we wanted, but we accepted it because he was owning it. Billy has never really done that true interview or true statement about why he made the decisions that he did. Now, he doesn't owe us that. He's got the right to do what he wants to do as he wants to do it. But as long as he doesn't say anything, we're only going to have our perspective, and from our
Billy Joel didn't comment from Stormfront that he wanted to go with new players for a new energy and a new vibe. That's how Mick Jones, because Mick Jones produced Van Halen. I mean, wasn't he on?
But he didn't reply. He didn't really replace his band for Stormfront, did he? Liberty was still playing. I know Javers was gone by then. Brown was still with him in Stormfront.
I just was about to say, I think David Brown was the only one. I don't even think David Brown was an original incarnation.
No.
I think he was like a secondary incarnation. So,
all right. But like Billy and Liberty was the guy. Liberty was, he was the Clarence Clemens of the Billy Joel band in a way.
I agree. He was the one last link to the classic sort of era of Billy Joel.
Yeah, so
like, one of the little nuggets that I remember years ago, and I'm talking about years ago, us trading along was the Liberty DeVito letter to Billy Joel, and it was sort of, back in the day, it was sort of a classic. It pretty much ripped the veil off of the sort of the relationship between Liberty and Billy Joel. So we went back in the archives and discovered the actual Liberty DeVito letter to Mr. William Martin Joel.
Really?
Now, Andrew is going to be performing his one-man play, Liberty, A Life Well Lived. Andrew, talk to us about sort of your process in breaking down your reading of Liberty DeVito's letter.
Well, I learned how to play the drums in one night. You sent me this email yesterday. I always knew it existed, but I'd never read it before. It was a long night, but I learned how to play the drums. I learned every song in Billy Joel's songbook. I'm a method actor, so I have to know what I'm doing. So I'm doing this with drumsticks in one hand and my other hand holding the paper. Because I'm not off book yet, as they say in our acting thespian business. So,
ladies and gentlemen, performing Liberty DeVito's letter to Billy Joel, Andrew Gruthius.
All right, let me just find my center. And
what a setup I gave you.
Yes.
God damn it.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
Mr. Andrew Gruthius.
Billy, I'm writing this letter to you. Wait, sorry. Oops. Wrong center. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Liberty DeVito
Mr.
to Billy Joel.
Oh, Lord,
Oh wait,
I'm
no,
lying.
you do it. You do it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, portraying Liberty DeVito, Mr. Andrew Gruthius.
Billy, I'm writing this letter to you in hopes that it finds you well. You son of a bitch cocksucker. No, that was a little improvisation there. I have recently heard what I hope is a rumor. Somebody told me that someone told them that someone told you, and that you told them that everybody told everybody that you hated me because I discredited you in a radio interview. This is insane, Bill. You and I go back now 30 years. 30 years. You think I'm going to whack him for you? No, wait a second. Hold on. Sorry. I think I have proven my loyalty and friendship to you. We have made some of the most memorable music in recorded history. I have gone places with you and your music that nobody can get close to. You didn't believe me. You didn't believe me, Charlie. You should have been there when I told you that Jimmy Miner was scalping tickets. You didn't believe me, Charlie, when I told you that Bobby Graziano was a crazy, fucked up fan. Why would you think that I would say anything that would hurt you? I love you. You know, we had that night in Vegas together. You've always been like a brother to me. Maybe like a distant cousin. If there's been any friction between us, I believe it was created out of jealousy from others. We were a band. You, me, Doug, Richie, Russell, and Dave. Glass Houses is evident of that. Your management stole from you. Your band didn't. That was the best band you ever had. Then you let somebody get in your ear and chew it off, and you changed all that. Stormfront was a great album, but that became you and a bunch of sidemen. I was the only one who represented the presence of a band. Then during River of Dreams, you took me out of the picture. But I still stuck by you because of the love I had for what we were doing and what we created on 10 albums and all the cash. I think River was a strain on you, to be honest. It was the last album of pop music you ever wrote. Was it because you had no one to bounce off? No one telling you what was good and what sucked? I always told you the truth about the music. I also thought we were close enough that I could tell you the truth in your personal life, too. I'll admit that I did make a mistake trying to keep up a relationship with Christy after you two broke up. I mean, when I banged her in the... No, I mean, sorry. I was trying to keep the peace with Mary. I don't know who Mary is. Was that his wife?
I think that's Liberty's wife, yeah.
Oh, well, that worked out well. That worked out well. Anyway, I was trying to keep the peace with Mary, which eventually turned into a disaster for me. Billy, I stuck with you when you took the advice of your accountants and took away my royalties. I went on tour with you when you took away my percentage of the gross and put me on a salary. I never held you up for money, which was probably my biggest fault for being a nice guy. And when I lost everything in my last divorce, you had Max call me and tell me that I pissed you off when I hinted to you that I needed financial help. I still played my heart out every night on that tour because I love what I do. I can't help it. Then you separated yourself from everyone when Max came along. Who's Max? I'm asking you. Who's Max?
Can you please read?
Okay. All right. When Max came along, I had to listen to the band bullshit and watch as Max, Noel, Brian, and Steve flew to a base hotel while I rode in a bus with the crybaby musicians. I hated it so much, I would wait till loadout was finished with my load so I could travel with the crew. Even then, I was looked down upon by your elite fleet that travel with you on your private plane because I had befriended the crew. Your crew, the guys who felt it was an honor to work for yous. You always had a tendency to pal up with the people who said yes to you to death the most. Spelling is correct. They were the ones that led you to that disastrous night at the Garden. Everyone from Ron Delsner to Don DeVito came to me and asked me to talk to you. I couldn't get past your circle of ass kisses. But the worst by far, the worst, I call him the cancer that destroyed all that we created. The guy who hijacked the Billy Joel gig and I believe brought me to the point of writing you this letter, Tommy fucking Burns. This man single-handedly has made everything we created into a Las Vegas act. I must admit, he has put together the best wedding band in New York City history with those cover band musicians he uses in the play. I can't believe you let him be the musical director to Moving Out and produce the soundtrack. He's killed the music, Billy. He's killed the music. I know the guy badmouths me. He's a prick.
The thing that pisses me off the most, though, is that he's making money while the drummer is playing the drum parts I created. I don't get a dime. He also took the credit for one of the Tonys that play won. Anything that has to do with the music in that show was created a long time ago in the studio. I don't think I could bear sitting in the audience of that show, hearing what has been done to the music I love so much, while someone else is playing the rhythms I created. It makes me wonder how Dougie felt when he would come to see us play at the Coliseum. Billy, I probably said too much, but I could not be silent anymore. I have been sabotaged by other people's too many times before. I wish you the best of everything with your new marriage to Katie. I am a little disappointed I wasn't invited, even though I'll be in England, so I can't fucking go anyway. Doing clinics at the time. Wouldn't be able to attend. Anna and I, is that her name, Anna? Yeah, Anna's the wife now, yeah. Anna and I are doing great. She's working to bring in the money to pay the bills while I try to rebuild my career. You know, eating on food stamps is not, you don't knock it till you tried it. It's tough starting over with nothing at the age of 54. I'm very lucky to have Anna. Look, if you ever want to talk, you know I always was and I always will be there for you. Take care of yourself, Billy. Love, Lip.
Oh God.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bravo.
I threw in a little color there.
Yes,
that's quite an opus right there, man.
Next week, Billy Groo is going to do. Crystal Talafiero sent 2 text messages to Ron Delsner, and Groo will. Well, that was an excellent job, Groo, as Liberty DeVito.
Thank you, sir.
You just read the whole thing beginning to end. Any thoughts on? That's a pretty personal communication. Thoughts on the Liberty DeVito?
I do have thoughts, but first I have to ask you a question because you're a little more familiar with it than I am. Did he send that to him and send it as an open letter? I mean, did it go public, or did he send that to him seriously with the intention of it being completely private? Because
I believe it was sent in with the intention of being completely private. I thought it was an email. The notes listed as a letter, but certainly I think this is around the time that email was certainly present. But somebody got a hold of it. I don't believe Liberty would have done something completely public like that. I don't.
Well, let's say that you and I, broke up our band here, and let's say you decided next week that you're going to do nothing worthwhile with Moody and Alf. And then I sent you an email like that one, telling you the truth, laying out everything, not holding back anything. Would you respond to me, or would you send it to your lawyer or send it to your people and ask them to, put me to bed?
Okay, so knowing what I know about myself, I would respond. I'm not saying any kind of letter or email would have fixed the problem. I may have been, very angry, but I definitely would have responded myself. Yes.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't have sent it to.
So there is nothing in there. There is nothing in there, at least from my perspective, that crosses any kind of line. And even if it did, when you're friends with somebody and you've been through what guys like that have been through together, like guys like you and I, we've known each other for 40 years at this point. You have a license to privately say whatever the hell you want. He's not talking to Billy as a boss there. He's talking to Billy as a longtime friend, brother, confidant, whatever. And it seems that Billy is the one who's changed, not Liberty. Now, again, we're only getting one side of the story. But I would think that there's a guy pouring out his heart in private to this guy who, for reasons that seem to be unbeknownst to Liberty, has just moved on in a different direction without any communication. It's like he just got dropped, but not even by Billy himself, by Billy's people. That's what it seems to be.
So I think it's a little classless of Billy not to at least respond in private or talk to him or like unless there's something that Liberty is not telling us, unless he did something really screwed up, that really made the difference. But I think if he did, Billy Joel would somehow make that known. So people like us don't just, crap all over Billy. Or maybe he just doesn't give a shit. That's that, and that's okay too. But, if he doesn't care, then we're going to take Liberty's word for it, because if he's the only one doing the talking. That's how I see it.
I think the one thing that stands out is the complete vitriol for Tommy Burns, the Joel guitarist. That's clearly something that.
It sounds like a band. The band, like, how far back does Tommy Burns go?
Burns goes back to Stormfront.
Oh, okay. So here's this new guy coming in, and Billy's fallen in love with this guy, and he's fallen out of love with that guy, and that's going to be painful. But Liberty is at least owed some kind of explanation. Instead of that, according to the letter, which is all we have to go on, he got his money reduced, and when he expressed disappointment and anger towards that, he was let go completely. But not even let go, just replaced without even being told. So all of this is just, it leaves a really sour taste. Because it just doesn't seem like the human thing to do. Like, at least write back and just say, hey, go fuck yourself. I mean, at least something, and then Liberty would say, all right, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But to be completely silent and just let his people clean up the mess, that doesn't seem like the down-home New York kind of stand-up guy that Billy's always trying to make us think he is. You know what I mean? Like, but again, I say this having heard nothing about it from Billy Joel. So,
well, look, it's it's already going back almost 20 years now, the breakup. And in all fairness, as I said in the beginning, Billy wrote the foreword to Liberty's book. By all accounts, they have certainly put that past squabbles to rest. Billy again did write the foreword. Billy did, he wasn't there live, but Billy did have comments that were read at the Long Island Songwriting Hall of Fame, where they honored Billy Joel's band, the Lords of the 52nd Street. So there have been some small hints at, I don't think a reunion, but I think at reconciliation.
Billy was Billy. It was on Long Island, so obviously Billy couldn't be there because he. Okay,
Andy,
and he was too busy He was too busy working on his next album.
Andy, I
imagine how classy it would have been for Billy Joel to show up at that. That would have erased so much, don't you think?
I don't disagree with you, but what up? Okay, listen. When you try to make an analogy of you and I, it's a tough one because I'm not a $100 billion rock and roll Hall of Fame musician. I think that I would say right now the Billy Joel, Liberty DeVito friendship is, quote, hopeful. Hopeful perhaps for further reconciliation, and hopeful perhaps that musically, if Billy ever gets back on stage, perhaps in a small spot, you'll see Liberty. I don't think he's going to come back and be the full-time drummer. I think that ship has come back as sailed. But could you see something like Billy's done with Richie Cannata over the years, a small piece here, a small piece there? Sure, I think that perhaps is in the perhaps could be in the offering, but the friendship hopefully will remain to some kind of level. What can I say?
No, yeah, I mean, it's just, you hate to see that kind of thing, but I guess it happens in every single musical act. I mean, name one that's endured the test of time with literally no bust-ups. Is there one you could think of?
ABBA. I don't know. I don't know. Andy, let's get to the track.
The Captain and Tennille, they broke up. Stop looking at me like that.
Track number 1, No Man's Land. You want to give us a thought?
Yeah, No Man's Land is a really good song. I really like it. I like it lyrically. I also like it musically. And I gotta say, when I heard the Shelter Island version of it, I like that a lot better. It's the same musically, melodically, it's still the same, but the instrumentation, I think, brings out the darkness of the lyrics much more. I know. Yeah,
if you noticed on the Shelter Island session, when it transitions into like the chorus, they take that little clip from "We Didn't Start the Fire." They kind of use
that. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I like I like that.
Yeah.
And I think but No Man's Land became. I fell in love with No Man's Land when he played it live. I love the way he played it live. It was a great opener. I don't think you don't think so?
Yeah. I agree. I'm always very fond of the Letterman opening night appearance with Billy, and I like that. I guess the Shelter Island session, I liked it with the Letterman, that sparse kind of, just a guitar key kind of play.
Well, that's interesting too, because on the Letterman appearance, he plays, and he did the same thing with We Didn't Start the Fire when Stormfront came out, like on Saturday Night Live. He plays the keys on that show, but on stage he plays,
I agree.
Or he pretends to play the guitar, whatever he's doing there.
He pretends.
Yeah.
No Man's Land is an audacious opener. I liked it. And who knows? That could have been, to me, it could have been the first single. I really enjoyed that song, and it's a good one. Track number 2, Great Wall of China, clocking in just under 6 minutes. Andrew, Great Wall.
Originally, I was not a fan. It seemed like it just didn't resonate with me melodically, but once I it grew on me over time, because when I heard what it was about and then listened to the lyrics again, I realized how good the songwriting is on that album, on that song. I mean, that's about his bust up with his manager. And it really, knowing that brings out those lyrics, and it makes it better for me. This might be the only song on was it not on Shelter Island, or was it?
It's on
Shelter Island. I think I liked, this is the one that I liked on River of Dreams better than on Shelter Island. I think all the others I like better, but this it has grown on me. It's better than, I like it better now than I did then. What do you think?
Agreed. I liked it right off the bat because it was a rare. It's like a rare. I mean, those lyrics are pretty cutting, and you don't get that very often from Billy. Plays it. I won't say Billy plays it safe, but he plays it middle of the road. And here, he's an angry guy. He's angry, and everyone could sort of relate to, if we just kept it together, we could have achieved amazing things. We could have made it to the Great Wall of China. And,
guess what? I would say that maybe Liberty DeVito secretly wrote those lyrics. Think about it.
Thank you, Andrew. Stunning.
No, seriously, no. He's basically bitching about, Billy's basically bitching about the same thing about the guy who betrayed him, as Liberty is saying about Billy Joel. I mean, it's almost like the pot calling the kettle black there, don't you think? A little bit?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. Great. He's shaking his head, folks.
Track number 3, just under 5 minutes, Blonde Over Blue.
Never liked this one. I don't get it. I don't get the psycho thing in there. I don't get the on Shelter Island or on River of Dreams. I don't hate it, but it's one I would always skip if I'm listening to the album. Don't like it.
Yeah, I agree, Andrew. It's a little bit too busy for me. I think it's Billy's homage to Roy Orbison vocally, and I think, yes, it's a sort of a psycho. It's sort of going to portray, a psychotic kind of all those highs and lows. A little bit busy to me. I think he's played it once or twice live. I've
never heard it.
I might listen. Yeah, I like the opening drum hit, and then it kind of loses it there for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly a pass. Track number 4, Just under 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. A minor variation. Andrew, minor variation?
I like this one, and I think I like it because I love it when he gets. It reminds me. It reminds me of Stormfront. I like the horns. I like the funkiness of the type of song it is. It's like this is the song where you put the funk into it, not a song like like Shades of Grey or whatever. Like this is where that Korchmar thing kind of works. And I think it's pretty much similar to the version that was on Shelter Island, but I love it when Billy uses horns and gets funky like that. I really do like this song. Do you?
It's okay. It's okay.
Very profound, very deep right there.
I agree. I do like
Some days I want to give right into the blues. Bam, bam. It's hip. It's happening. I like it.
Shades of Grey, track number 5, just over 4 minutes. What do you think about Shades of Grey?
Good. It's I like the that kind of callback to the old days, like ba 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 da. I always like it when he does that. And it's got a nice hook with the chorus. And it's good. See, it doesn't blow me away, but it's a fun song. It's a fun song, and it's very introspective. And lyrically, it's very, very good. It's better lyrically than it is musically, but it's still good musically. I like it better on the Shelter Island sessions.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's the same cut.
Is it the same exact cut?
Yes, it's
I'll have to re-listen.
I believe. I like.
But
Shades
no,
of
but
Grey.
it's the same. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's the same cut. But I think Korchmar added stuff to it on River of Dreams.
From what I understand, I read on the
Untouched
on the research. It was the one Billy Joel produced. There was no. It was the one cut that made it to. River of Dreams.
All right, maybe. Well, what do you think of it? What do you think of it?
I like the song. There's a live version on the Billy Joel River documentary called Shades of Grey that I liked it live because they do sort of an Until the Night kind of thing where on that high vocal, I don't know if it's Tommy Burns or if it's the saxophonist.
Mark Rivera.
Mark Rivera. They sing the high vocal on the chorus.
Right.
Sparse, bar bandish. I'll probably agree with you. The music's a little simple. The lyrics are probably a tad bit ahead of the music, but we're 4 songs in and we haven't heard much piano. Okay.
But it's it's noticeable. That's the thing. It's noticeable.
Okay. Track 6, just under 6 minutes, All About Soul.
All right, this is a weird one because when I first heard it, I'm like, all right, now we're talking. It's degrown on me. I don't know if that's a word. I loved it when I first heard it.
Let me clarify. So you've kind of lost appreciation for it over the years.
Yes, because I hear the lyrics and I hate them. I love the melody. I love the melody. The melody is fun. It's got a nice beat. You could dance to it. It'd be a great concert song, but it's him bitching and moaning about life not being fair and like, oh fuck you, every time and the video that they released to it is god awful. Do you remember that video? It just they took what could have been a really solid single and they just completely botched it.
It's like the 2 cents for production of the music video.
This one has not lasted for me.
Actually, I'm the opposite. Actually, I did not like All About Soul in the beginning because I felt like it was just standard radio-friendly pop.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I've softened a little bit on it. He's played it very occasionally live. It would probably be, because it's a rarity, I probably would perk my ears
Any rarity. Even if we hated it, if he played House of Blue Light, we'd go crazy.
Well, thank you, Andrew. But what I'm saying, I'm kind of the opposite. Didn't care for it much at the beginning, and I won't say I love the song, but I've had a, let's say, begrudging enjoyment for the song.
Yeah.
As the years have gone on.
All right. Interesting.
The song that the Nothing Worthwhile band covered at the beginning of the show, Lullaby, Good Night My Angel, just clocking in under 3.5 minutes. Andrew, thoughts on Lullaby?
It's a beautiful song. Great. I love the lyrics are just heartbreaking but hopeful at the same time. Great melody. Very daring melody in a way. It uses some minor chords there where less accomplished piano players wouldn't. The only weakness to me, it doesn't need the strings. It doesn't need the production. Billy and the piano would have been enough. I think the strings kind of get in the way a little bit, but it's still one of his. If you're asking me to put a Billy Joel Dream set list together, Lullaby would be on it. I love the song.
I can't really add much to it. I agree. I don't know if Lullaby is a what's the word I'm looking at? So I guess I don't hate I don't mind the string, production. I don't mind it too much. To me, the significance, the lyrics are just crushing, and it actually, that song sort of influenced the way I see. I'll just get personal for one brief second. How I see death. The tone of the song is we're gone, but we live in the hearts and minds of our friends and family, and so that we're never really gone. And so that's what I take from the song. So to me, that's my opinion as well. And so you're hopeful that upon death you never really leave, because you always will be in the hearts and minds of family and friends.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because it makes me feel better about the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich I had this morning. So
I knew I would try to say something serious.
You know me better than that.
I agree. Excellent song. Interesting to hear your thoughts on the next track 8, The River of Dreams, just over 4 minutes. Andy, thoughts on The River of Dreams?
Don't like it, never liked it. Very simple.
Wow.
It's hard to say why. I think it's become, maybe because I never really loved it to begin with. I didn't mind it in the beginning, but it's become his. I don't want to say Allentown, because I'm trying to say, like, it's the one song that he plays every night, no matter what, that we just don't need to hear anymore, in my opinion. And every time he plays it, I'm like, all right, can we get to the next one? I just don't need to hear it anymore. I never subscribed to the connection between Lullaby and River of Dreams. Maybe because he hardly ever does that. He hardly ever plays them in succession. He always used to love He always loved to talk about how they're supposed to go together. Now he never plays Lullaby, but he always plays River of Dreams. I don't like it. I don't like it. Never did.
He used to play Lullaby into River of Dreams, I think, on the River of Dreams tour. Mm-hmm. He has moved away from that in years past. I think the live version with the basic Billy Joel band is a little hokey, but I think it's an excellent song. I like, if you're talking about it live, I mean, if you're going to get a little something sometimes when he gets to the main chorus, where he pauses and he might do a little snippet of a cover, or cover another song and segue back into River of Dreams. I hear what you're saying. Yes, you're going to get it every show. Yes, it's a little bit hokey, but on this one, I don't mind. Don't mind it.
I'm glad. I'm happy if you're happy.
You rat-a-tank bastard. Next cut, track number 9. Interested to hear your thoughts on just under 5.5 minutes, 2,000 Years.
I love this song. I would pick this one when I first heard the album. And I remember the conversation we had about it. I remember exactly where we were. We were right outside of Bunk 29. And I told you that I think 2,000 Years is the best song on this album. And you said very sweetly, I don't remember asking. You actually said that to me.
Oh my God. What a dick.
It's a God's honest truth. But I still, to this day, I mean, to me, it's a toss-up between this and Lullaby. But I've always loved this song. I love the ideas behind it. I love that it's very piano-based. And to me, it's the only song on the album to me that could have been on an earlier Billy Joel album. I could see this fitting in somewhere in like the post Turnstiles but pre-Stormfront areas, with the exception, I guess, of Innocent Man. But I love
2,000 Years. I don't know if I'd put it as the top track. It's an excellent cut. Perhaps a little schmaltzy. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Andy likes these stripped down schmaltz. What I will say is, on the 2,000 Years, the Millennium concert, did not like the live rendition.
Really?
On the I hated it.
That's interesting because I mean, has he played it live often?
I believe I believe it was just the one time.
Because I was there and I remember hearing it. He played it obviously right before midnight, and I loved it. I thought it was great live, and I've heard it on the album and on the live album, and I still like it. I'm surprised to hear you say that. Maybe I'll have to take another listen to it on the live version.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think you're off on that one. I like the album version. The live cut is just, you like 2,000 Years because it's kind of sparse. It's a sparse ballad, and I think the live cut, and I haven't listened to it in a while, but on the Millennium, they're trying to fit in every instrument, and it just I didn't care for the live cut, but the album cut is an excellent one. Let's wrap it up. The last track, the last pop song, the last pop. Well, he's released one or two singles since then, but let's say for argument's sake, the last Billy Joel cut. Track number 10, just over 5 minutes. Famous Last Words. Andrew, any words about Famous Last Words?
Yes. Famous Last Words would definitely crack my top 10 Billy Joel songs that I absolutely loathe. I hate this song. I despise it. I knew you would, because I know how much you love it. And I'm going to tell you why I hate it. Because this song is so perfectly written as far as lyrics goes, and if it's going to be your summation, where's the piano? Where's the, like, it should be? It's screaming to me. It screams out to be a ballad. It screams out to be a farewell, a thing. Instead, it's a generic melody that could have housed any other set of lyrics. I think the meaning of the song is completely lost in the overproduction of the of the music, and I really I never ever listen to it. Because number one, it reminds me that Billy doesn't write music anymore. But if he went out with it the way I believe the lyrics deserved, that would be something. But whoever told him that this was, this is the best way, this is the best, they're the ones who shouldn't have been invited to Katie Lee's to the wedding. I despise this song with every ounce and fiber of my being, and but I want to. I know you love it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it.
Look, you're a tough guy to debate with because you get very. And this is not a bad thing. It's a very personal take. I'm not going to sit there and get into the final. Is it worthy of the final tracking of Billy Joel? I mean, that's. I'm not that advanced of a musical critic. I thought the lyrics are amazing. You do get a piano break. I think on the final sort of chorus, there is a piano break there. That's a nice little piano solo. I just, the lyrics to me, I think of my childhood. I think of, Labor Day weekend and going to the beach and putting the sheets over the sandy table, and just it has a lot of analogies of I guess maybe growing up in New York that I enjoy. I think the musicmanship of the song is fine. Look, it's not Abbey Road, no, but I think Billy Joel could do a lot worse as a final tracking. And I think Famous Last Words. I think it sort of it fits. Is it musically complex? No, but was Billy Joel ever musically complex?
Yes.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes, he was. Absolutely. Without a doubt. You don't think?
Can you give me one example of a very complex musical piece by Billy Joel?
Yes, I can give you a few. Ballad of Billy the Kid, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, but I also say this. I also say this as someone who has tried to play some of these songs on the piano, and I just can't because they are so complex. I do have that.
You're going to get me on that argument because I don't play piano, and I know Andy's a very talented musician. Absolutely. And this is not to discredit Billy Joel. Billy Joel, I'm not here to argue against it because I like Billy's material. It was straightforward. There was a lack of pomposity there. What was your first Ballad of Billy the Kid? It's a straight-up classical piece. He's taking a lot, I believe, from classical artists. And again, Scenes of an Italian Restaurant is sort of his a day in the life. However, I believe ultimately it was him taking Billy Joel, the Beatles, and just clipping 3 or 4 songs, which I'm not saying is easy. I've never done it, but he had basically 2 or 3 songs that he wanted to create that one sort of masterpiece. And maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but it was sort of there for the taking.
Well, this could have been a masterpiece. You know what I compare it to? There's a song. I know I always bring in Springsteen, but this will make sense to you. No, this will make sense to you.
I don't know if it will. I
think it will. Bruce Springsteen on the record "Human Touch" put out a song called "Real World," which on the album is god awful. It begins with like a gong or a bell or something, and it's it's just so blatantly overproduced, and it's unlistenable. But then he performed it live in concert with just him on the piano, and it was incredible. And you realize how incredible the lyrics are and how incredible the song could have been. And whenever I hear Famous Last Words, I can picture Billy Joel sitting at the piano alone on stage singing that song without any accompaniment, and it would be an absolute mind blower. And that's what I would love to see from it.
Okay, well, you can see it one time on the Actors Studio with James Lipton. When he did it, he plays, I don't know if he does the whole song, but he does play Famous Last Words just on the piano solo acoustic.
I have seen that, so maybe I'm not remembering that, but I'll take a look. But I mean, playing it.
I saw. Well, hang on.
All right.
I saw him do it live. I saw him do it live in the very sort of famous Fort Lauderdale show, where I think this was like 2004, where he tried to mix it up again. He did it. Billy Joel fans will know in the '98 tour. He kind of mixed it up, and then he went back.
Isn't that where he opened with Piano Man?
Yeah, and it was a show that I love, and I was there live. And Billy's reaction was not too favorable with the crowd. However, I didn't like the live cut. I will admit, of Famous Last Words, because again, I felt like it was very musically lush, where it didn't need to be. It had to have the synth. It had to have the guitar. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't have guitar or some synth. I didn't like how it seemed similar to 2,000 Years. I liked a more sparse. It still could have had the band. Right. I liked this more sparse rendition of the song. It didn't need every single piece on the stage to play into.
Yeah, I guess I just don't like it for what I feel it could have been and wasn't.
All right. Well, I got to urinate, so let's try to let's try to move. Groo, there was even a voyage on the River of Dreams, which was an Australian 3 CD box set released in '94, which included the studio album River of Dreams, along with a 6-track live CD from the '93-'94 River of Dreams tour. I believe that was the Disney Germany show where Billy is just retaining water and looks bloated.
I remember. We bought this box set.
Sleeves.
We bought this box set. I remember we bought this box set. You were over my house.
Yeah.
Okay. It was probably one of those nights before where we were going to Roosevelt Field the next day when we were working there. But we were watching this. I was showing you I've never seen it before. I got Billy Joel live from the River of Dreams, and we put it in. We watch it, and like the first song, we're sitting there watching, and it's such a train wreck, and you're sitting there like, well, I guess he's just faxing it in at this point, like just you deadpan, and I'm like, we didn't even make it halfway through No Man's Land. We're like, we're gonna hate this. We're gonna hate this thing.
I mean, honestly, to put of all shows on television for a television. That Germany show to me is
because the tour was good. The shows that I saw, I loved. I was at one of the early ones at Madison Square Garden. It was great.
Yeah, one of the ones I saw at the Garden. I don't know if you were there. I met up with Craig. Billy had a cold, and he actually came out.
I was there. I remember, and he's like, I'm not going to cancel. I'm not a wuss. I'm not a wuss. You know, I was there, but I guess I didn't know you were there, and I didn't know Craig at the time.
Yeah, I think he did like an hour 45. It was a short show. I remember.
Yes,
that.
I remember that.
He does a question and answer CD recorded at Princeton University. The box set made the charts in Australia, grew number 33, number 47 in New Zealand, and was also released in Japan as well. And so, Groo, let's get to it. What was the commercial response to the River of Dreams? River of Dreams went to number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 200. It charted number 3 in the UK and number 6 in Canada. It reached, let's see here, let me look at my notes. It reached in the United States, grew 5 times platinum for over 5 million sales. It was certified platinum in the UK for over 300,000 sales and certified 3 times platinum in Canada. So that was the sale piece. Groo, what was the critical response to the River of Dreams? Rolling Stone gave River of Dreams 4 out of 5 stars, saying Billy Joel raises the stakes with River of Dreams, diving further into the philosophical abyss of middle age with the fury of a dreamer searching for an answer before time fades away. Conversely, AllMusic.com, Groo gave River of Dreams 2 out of 4 stars, calling it deadening, self-consciously serious set of songs. Quote, there are no light moments on the album, either lyrically or musically. All of the songs are filled with middle-aged dread. Even the 2 best moments, the gospel-inflected title track and his song to his daughter, Lullaby, Goodnight My Angel, are not on par with his best work. So, Groo, it looks like River of Dreams was a mixed bag critically. What say you? Your final thoughts on River of Dreams?
Is it fair for me to rate it, do a before and after Shelter Island rating? Is it fair?
The floor is yours, the floor is yours.
All right, all right. For many years, I would have given it 3 out of 5. Good, not great. After I heard Shelter Island, I would move it down to 2. 2 out of 5 of what it could have been, and I would give like Shelter Island 3.5. I think Shelter Island made the songs better, and River of Dreams took what was good and kind of took some of the life out of it by adding things. It's like a less is more kind of thing. So my final judgment on River of Dreams would be 2.5 out of 5.
I can't disagree. I love that No Man's Land on the Shelter Island sessions. I mean, how that doesn't make the final cut is incredible to me. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I can't add anything more. It's a good, solid Billy Joel album. Not spectacular. I'll listen to it, and I'll probably skip a couple of tracks, but there'll be 4 or 5 tracks, that I'll listen to. Yes. Now, Of course, we cannot wrap it up by of course, acknowledging that Billy Joel, River of Dreams, was his last studio album of original material in the pop rock genre. Billy has often stated that the album itself, and I don't know, I'll call a little BS on this, was designed to stand as his final quote-unquote record, and that while he still composes music, he no longer writes within the pop rock music vein and has no more interest in the recording industry. I did find that there's currently an online petition at change.org, because this is so damn important, created by a group of Billy Joel fans asking Billy to put out one more studio album with new songs of original material in the pop rock genre. So, Andy, I'll throw it to you as we wrap up River of Dreams. Any thoughts on River of Dreams as being the last bit of creative music in the pop rock genre for Billy Joel?
I think he could have done a whole lot better if he's going to sum everything up. And to sum everything up at the age of 41, 42 at the time.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
I mean, it's been, how long has it been? 30 years yet? I don't know.
93.
Yeah, so in 2 years it'll be, so it's
30
about
years.
28 years. You know, with the current climate of people putting out music in so many different ways that would not require the kind of effort that he doesn't want to put in anymore, he could literally record a song or two in his basement and put it on YouTube and just like I don't know, he like you and I talk about all the time, like our favorites are slowly disappearing and the output is becoming less, so much less, and it's like he stopped way before his time. And the fact that people still want to hear music from him as he's in his 70s, it's a testament to him. I don't know what the hell he's so pissed about or so, self-deprecating about. I mean, he sells out everywhere he goes. People still love him, and people will still want to hear what he has to say. And you can't tell me that a guy can write all of that for all those years and all of a sudden have nothing left to say that, exercises his demons. Maybe it is. Obviously, there's a reason that he doesn't do it. It's disappointing. But I still hold out hope. I really do, believe it or not. I still hold out hope.
Yeah, I think that ship is gone, is coming past. I'll do 2 quick points, because, boy, do I have to go to the bathroom. But I will do 2 quick points. Number 1.
You should have like a little hospital thing, like a bedpan right next to you.
I should. Is there anything to be said for kind of finishing it up at the top? Anything to be said for that?
Well, he didn't finish at the top.
I mean, certainly River of Dreams is not, he doesn't have there's not a major drop, okay? I mean, it's not like... Again, I'm not here to argue it, but it's not like an Elton album that tracks at 127. This was a number 1 album in the United States, and maybe it didn't move as many units, and maybe it didn't have as much radio airplay as the previous Billy Joel albums, but it was a number 1 album. River of Dreams did have some mainstream play on Z100 type radio stations. I know that for a fact. I was that young at the time. I'm only putting it out there for discussion. And please, let's not get into a 20-minute debate. But the Who kind of did it. Is there something to be said for finishing, and you're still considered at somewhat of a creative and commercial peak?
Yes, there's definitely something to be said for that, and I respect it. Just because it's not, I respect it. I'm not happy about it, but. It doesn't stop me from getting up in the morning. There are a million other things that keep me from getting up in the morning. But
my other point to you is I've said this before in other podcasts. I think Billy Joel's decision to stop recording popular music was more about Billy Joel and his ego. I will say, while River of Dreams was a number 1 album, certainly, yes, I do agree. The response mainstream was a little bit muted. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, you're talking about grunge music and things. And technology was starting to turn. The music industry is starting to change here, even well back in '93. We know where the music industry has gone ever since then. I've said it before on other podcasts. What about the notion that Billy Joel, or his ego, or whatever you want to call it, just could not handle putting out music that did not have widespread mainstream success and recognition?
Well, I just wish he would understand that the fans don't give a shit about commercial and don't give a shit about reviews. They're going to show up.
Billy has denied. I'm asking you, because Billy has denied that. I mean, Howard did ask him about that on one of his interviews on Sirius XM, so I will credit that. Billy claims that had nothing to do with it. He was falling in love out of rock music and wanted to go into the classical genre, and I don't buy that as much.
I don't buy it either.
He wanted to write other pieces, and I believe his ego, he started to see the writing on the wall, and perhaps this is only my own. I'm only postulating on my own that
what writing on the wall? People are still you still can't get tickets to his shows. I mean,
okay, Andrew. What I'm saying to you, I just went over it. I mean, I think radio play was clearly not what it was the album before, which was not the album. I mean, he's starting to see a little bit of diminished returns commercially. I don't know about critically, but commercially, he's not. And so I think perhaps maybe this was let's finish up while we're on top. All
right, maybe it was an ego thing. Either way, it happened, and it is what it is, and he'll still do his residency, God willing. We'll see him again, God willing. If he's there, we'll go, because that's what we do. Because even at his worst, we still love the guy, and we still love what he's given, and the music that he plays, and the music that he has put out. We celebrate that. But one can't help but wonder I would love to see him write No Man's Land today, or We Didn't Start the Fire today. Visit what has gone on. If he's really socially conscious like that, I would love to hear his take on, the last 15 years or so.
Yes, God willing. God willing. Can you say God willing 15 more times? I believe you already announced November. The residency is going to. I didn't read any details. I believe I did see a.
Yes, I saw it today. You can't. There were 800 tickets left, and all single seats. And they're monumentally expensive. It's a huge event, and rightly so. Yeah. And rightly so. I'm sure Craig has a block of tickets.
Maybe we'll be there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Right, Braxton?
Maybe.
Braxton?
Hey, Puppy Shango.
All right. He's walking over. Well, that's it for Billy Joel, River of Dreams. Andrew, let's. Our next show, it's called Post Summit Stern, Still Relevant. Moody and Groo debate and discuss the current incarnation of the Howard Stern Show, which is thought to be in its final contract with Sirius XM. Come here. Come say hi to Andy. Oh, Steve, you on camera? Can you?
Oh my God, he's getting big.
Give me a kiss.
He's getting big. Ew! Why'd folks? He just Frenched his dog.
I didn't French.
I mean, you've kissed some dogs before, but never like this. Oh!
Well, Andy, what do you think about post Summit Howard Stern?
Well, I am looking forward to it because you and I always have a lot of anger and rage to get out, and we use this show as a forum to do so. And there is no better topic than post Summit Howard Stern. To those of you out there who don't know what we're talking about, you're just going to have to tune in to find out what exactly is this summit that we are referring to. Well, you will find out next week on Nothing Worthwhile with
All right, Andy. Post Summit Stern next week. Groo, let's take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking this journey with us down the river of dreams with Billy Joel. It's been our pleasure, and I'm sure you've pleasured yourself with it as well. Oh, I always run into these Freudian slips. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Next week, as Evan said, we will be doing the post-Summit Howard Stern Show. And until then, folks, 1, 2, 3.
Shelter Island Sessions.